Good afternoon, good evening, 49er faithful. We had a late start to this one because it is a Tuesday following game day. Had to get on with Jack Hammer earlier on his program, and I'm fighting through my own little chest cold that I have been persevering through. It has been tough. I've been gritting it out, much like the 49ers through the early part of this season. I am delirious on cold medicine at this point. So if I say anything that's a little bit strange, you know where it came from. It came from the Sudafed and its effects on my brain. But I'll try not to get into anything silly. I'll try to take this very seriously because the Niners are number one in the NFC West. Yes, they are sitting atop of the division, everybody at 2-2. So it is by the hair on their chinny chin that they are sitting in first place, having beaten the Rams last night. But they did beat the Rams handily last night. I appreciate all of you that are here and enthusiastic in the chat. Pete Gorman coming in to make a bold statement. Pete says, okay, I'm going to make a crazy statement, but the O-line looked better without Trent Williams. Someone had to say it. I guess it will be me. Pete, I don't think that's any reflection upon Trent Williams, but I will say everyone else on the line had their game a little bit ratcheted up. When Trent's not out there, you figure each one of those individuals takes something upon themselves to be a better man. They've just got to play that way when Trent is out there as well. The cohesion is something that it'll take some time for this offensive line to gel together. Hopefully Trent is back in time to be part of that gelling process. All right, let me talk a little bit about what this show is, because it is the Mailbag show, one of my favorites. The way in which the Mailbag works is I go back and forth between previously submitted questions, generally coming into me via Twitter. Send out a tweet in the morning asking for your Mailbag questions. I get wonderful responses in. Today, I was glad that we were a little lighter on those responses because I don't think I'm going to be able to do my standard 90-minute show. Already feeling a little bit down to begin it. But I go back and forth between those previously submitted questions and those of you that are live here in the chat. All that I ask is if you're in the chat and you're asking me a question directly, type in @Rob before it so that I know you're talking to me and not the back and forth in the chat. Speaking of those in the chat, Beast Mode Gaming, Sneakerhead on the channel coming in to say, let's go. Quesadilla Thrilla coming in to celebrate the defense. Raphael 562 Niners coming in to say, what's up, Rob? Sneakerheads and everyone. Cheers, Raphael. Always appreciate you coming in. We have got Kevin coming in from Glasgow. Evening all. So glad this went our way to get the W. The D is too good overall to have our offense shoot ourselves in the foot again. The team's only going to get better as injuries start to return as well. I'm with you on that one, Kevin. We do get some pretty important players back from injury. We've got Ellis 10 in the chat, Sneakerhead here on the channel saying today is a great day to be a Niner. I love it. Yell it loud and proud, Ellis. Luke Walsh coming in to say hello to everyone. Hello, Luke. Papa Phil coming in to say hello, everyone. Hope all is well. It's good on my end. I'm recovering from this cold. I'm kicking its butt like the defense kicked the Rams' butt. We're sending it packing, and I will be ready to roll by the time this weekend rolls around and we've got ourselves another game. I'm guessing in the next day or two, I sound a little bit better than I do at the moment. Let me tell you, I sound markedly better right now than I did over the weekend, and I sound significantly better than I did a couple hours ago because of this cold medicine as well. All right, for those of you in the chat, again, hit me with the @Rob for your questions. I'm going to get into the previously submitted questions that came in. The first one is from John B. John B says, can the 49ers defense keep this pace, especially with the addition of Jimmy Ward and possibly Jason Verrett? My overly enthusiastic answer to this is yes. Yes, 1,000 times yes, John. This defense can keep up this pace. It is possible that this defense could look even more dominant when we see the return of Jimmy Ward. Certainly, take out Tayshaun Gibson, put in Jimmy Ward. I believe that's an upgrade on defense. Jason Verrett is the interesting piece because as of right now, it's almost a challenge to say, hey, where does he fit in within the scheme? You wouldn't think he would come in and obviously not going to offset Charvarius Ward, the big signing of the offseason, who's played phenomenally. Emmanuel Mosley has also played phenomenally, opposite of Charvarius Ward. Hard to see him unseating either one of those gentlemen. Diamador Lenore coming on to replace Samuel Womack in the slot. If you look at what he was able to do against the Rams, you say he belongs there on the field. So the idea that a healthy Jason Verrett might just be a reserve on this unit shows you how deep it is and just how special this team might be. Also keep in mind that you had Javon Kinlaw and Eric Armstead, Javon missing the entirety of yesterday's contest. Hassan Ridgeway really stepping it up in his stead. Been very impressed with the signing of Hassan Ridgeway. And then Eric Armstead, the plantar fasciitis in his foot, obviously became too much to bear, or the defense was playing well enough that they thought it was a chance to rest him. I'm guessing it was the former. I'm guessing that it was a pain tolerance issue, and that flared up, and he was unable to keep going. The question becomes, is it a week-by-week thing for Armstead? Does it ever truly heal itself? Those are usually the kind of injuries that take an offseason to properly heal. Typically the type of thing you're dealing with throughout the year. So hope Eric Armstead is good. Let's look at just how dominant this defense has been to this point. We're talking about some of the names that could come back and make it even better. But with those players out, with what they've faced so far in this season, and one of the easier remaining schedules, I believe second easiest behind the Eagles, or fourth easiest, somewhere in top 5 easiest remaining schedules. Saw that stat today. Didn't write it down, so can't pull it out quote by quote for you. But top 5 rankings for the defense: second in overall passing yards allowed, second in overall rushing yards allowed, tied for Buffalo for first in total yards allowed per game. But that's not the most important stat to winning. Now, is it that's going to be the score. How many points are they allowing? The 49ers are number 1 by a wide margin in points allowed per game. 11.5 through 4 games, 11.5 points per game. Buffalo is 3 points behind that at 14.5. So really, Buffalo has allowed 12 more points on defense than the 49ers have. A big margin for the difference between 1 and 2. And guess what? Next up on the docket, on to Carolina, has the worst offense in the league, followed up by Atlanta. After that, we are hopefully going to have an opportunity to build on some of these stats. I heard people talking about Nick Bosa being in the last minute of the Rams game. 2 things I want to point out about that. Number 1, we were up 15, and the Rams got the ball back with 2 minutes to go, right around there. That's enough time in a well-placed 2-minute attack. That's enough time to get a touchdown, quick strike, onside kick, and now you're back in it, chance to tie the game with a touchdown 2-point conversion. So I'm not balking at the idea Bosa was in there. The other thing that you look at, and this happens for other teams around the league, is these are the types of matchups that a dominant player like Bosa wants to accrue his stats. He wants to rack up the sacks so that he can break the single season record. The dude is going for his next big contract. It is often these mop-up kind of games where you really accrue those crazy statistical anomalies. The 49ers getting 7 sacks in this one. I believe that tied their output in the first 3 games. They're either at 14 or 15 sacks. No, they're at 15 sacks on the season right now. So they had 8 coming into it. They got 7 against the frickin' Rams. And looking at those sack totals, again, I want to pat myself on the back for boldly predicting that Nick Bosa would hit 20.5 sacks. He is tracking above that. He is well on his way to his 20.5 sack season that I boldly predicted. He might blow that out of the water. He might surpass Aldon Smith. He might get the single season sack record. Who knows? The team has those 15 sacks, and they're tied for second behind only Philly, who came out of the gates hot this season, and they have 16 sacks on the year so far. Absolutely on pace for the number I predicted, 57 on the year. Let's get there, Niners. All right, coming back into the chat to get to your live comments, your live questions. Again, when you're talking to me in the chat, do me that favor of typing in @Rob prior to your comment so that I know you're talking to me. You talking to me? You talking to me? All right. Yes, I agree. Today's a great day to be a Niner. Ellis 10, thank you so much. You sound great. I feel not so great. Glad to hear that I sound okay. In my own voice, right? I have these little plugs in so that I can hear my own voice. I don't have a guest on here talking to me, but I like hearing myself talk, which apparently you all do as well, because that's why you're here, right? I too like to listen to myself talk. I can hear the nasally nature of my voice. It's ever so slight. I could cover it up a little bit, but I hear it sneaking out there. Papa Phil doing the good deed, talking about gotta hit that like button. Let's equal the number of likes as to the number of people watching the show. That's what we want to do. Gold-blooded coming in. Hola, Rob. Nope, you're feeling better. Zinc, zinc, zinc is the key for the beginning of a cold or flu. Good advice. I should up that. I typically go the old school route of I'll get myself some vitamins, a little bit of vitamin C, even though there's no real scientific evidence that vitamin C shortens the span of a cold. I do think there's a little supporting evidence for your zinc assertion. So I may have to add that in. I generally go multivitamin, try and up the immune system. People are like, Rob, I don't care about how you try to take care of colds. Get back to the Niners. Rex Warren says, what up, Rob? Papa Phil, appreciate the advice. Moses Martinez, DB disciple, Rob Schuh. Rams fans talking trash here at work. Now they are nowhere to be found, LOL. And I got homemade tortillas coming as well. Love my 49ers. Moses, I want to know, how does a man get his hands on those homemade tortillas? That would be delightful. You know, we talk about food a little bit here on this program. Homemade tortillas certainly make the cut in things that we want to talk about. Food related. All right, Fear Me is bringing us back to the Niners. Fear Me says, Rob, we still struggle against mobile quarterbacks, and I'm kind of nervous because Mariota is mobile, and you are going to attend that game. Just kidding. Fear Me, you hit me right at the end. Yes, I am 0 for 2 in games that I attended so far this season. We got to break that streak. Need to get a win in Atlanta. I'm not going to be there in Carolina, so the curse is off, but we need to actively break the curse that is happening right now. I just think it's a bad streak. I've been to a lot of victories in my time. I feel horrible that I have to point that out. I mean, if it really were a streak or a curse, then I wouldn't have been at the 94 championship game before our last Super Bowl, but I was there. I was there with my dad. Joey Huff, Rob, still salty about being at that Denver game and losing like that, but the Monday W helped out. Where is Jordan Mason? We're going to get to a question about Jordan Mason and whether we see any carries coming up in Carolina. I agree. A little bit suspect that Jeff Wilson Jr., aside from the 32-yard scamper that he had, was not picking up a ton on the ground, and we still did not see the insertion of Jordan Mason. Makes me wonder if there is a bit of a lack of trust from Shanahan when it comes to the other members of his running back room. Jeff Wilson Jr. is clearly a trusted agent for the 49ers. Whether Jordan Mason qualifies, it remains to be seen. He's only been in on a handful of snaps to this point, has had some production, the 1 carry for 7 yards in the last matchup. Nothing. Big goose egg against the Rams, and we were up. The Stivers Niners 209 show. Rob, the Niners beat Baker Mayfield at Levi Stadium on Monday Night Football. We beat beat Matthew Stafford. Just a little bit of or maybe we're talking about a different. No, we're talking about, okay, let me read this. Let me stop. Full stop. That was the cold medicine. The Stivers Niners 209 show. Forgive me. Let me reread this comment. I get it. You're talking about not this last Monday, but a Monday many moons ago. Rob, the Niners beat Baker Mayfield on Levi Stadium on Monday Night Football. And guess what? Nick Bosa sacked him 4 times in that game. Nick Bosa Little Bear is Baker Mayfield this weekend. Will Nick Bosa sack Baker Mayfield this weekend? Is that the question? If that's the question, yes, Nick Bosa is on a tear. Nick Bosa is on his way to a 20.5 sack season. He absolutely still has a little bit of a rivalry going on. You remember him planting the flag in that game against Baker Mayfield. I'm sure Baker wants to return the trash talk. It will be fun to watch either way, to see if there's a little bit of post-sack celebration, post-touchdown celebration. I don't think this defense is going to allow Carolina in the end zone, so I think we're going to see some sack celebrations from Bosa. Darren Worthington, Rob, glad to see you're feeling better, bro. Keep spitting Niners knowledge. Love it. Thank you, Darren. I will try. Leicester, San Jose, sneakerhead here on the channel. Rob Schuh, concerned the Panthers game being a trap. It is, but it's the first of a 2-game road trip, and the Niners have taken those trips very seriously under Kyle Shanahan. We have won the back-to-backs, I think, every time. I need to double check that. At least the last couple of years, we've won those back-to-backs. It is on the return trip that we struggle, and that's against Kansas City. I do agree this sets up to be your stereotypical NFL trap game. Hopefully the Niners don't fall victim. Short week, a team that's got its back up against the wall, a coach that's got his back up against the wall in Matt Rule. So you could see the Panthers pulling out all the stops against San Francisco. I'm counting on the fact that the 49ers roster is significantly more talented than Carolina. That should account for any of the traps. Papa Phil with some advice says get some ginger and lemon tea. Good call. The tea absolutely helps. Ellis 10, Rob Schuh, your prediction for Bosa's total season quarterback sacks. Can he break the record this year? I'm sticking with the original prediction. I had him at 20.5. I'm keeping him at 20.5. Can he break this record? Abso-freaking-lutely. The dude might break it and win Defensive Player of the Year. Gold-blooded. Rob, okay, so you said you might make the LA trip down here. Well, my friend and I will be covering your early road jinx at this one. They don't lose when I go along. Okay, good. We need the coverage. We need someone to go to Atlanta as well, someone who's an anti-jinx, because we got to get this jinx off the books. It's only 2 games. That's not even really a streak. I mean, technically it's 3 going back to last season. But, I'm not taking the heat for this. I'm not. I refuse. Godzilla. Rob, a little worried about Robbie Gould. He missed the field goal and the extra points were leaning left and right. I didn't notice that on the extra points. I did call out in my summation of the special teams unit, his miss cost me a fantasy game. Robbie Gould. I didn't need him to make it to win the fantasy game. I lost by 0.6 of a frickin' point. I just needed him not to miss that kick. Had he not even taken that attempt, had George Kittle caught that frickin' touchdown pass and gotten that second foot down, we would have been okay. But no, we lost it. I'm not concerned about Robbie Gould. I'm not concerned about the special teams unit in general. A little teaser there for the one thing that does make me nervous. I'll talk about it when I get to that question in just a little bit. Moses coming back. He says, Rob Schuh, my dad's making the homemade tortillas. He's the expert. Moses, how do I get your father to Portland, Oregon? We need some of these homemade tortillas. The caretaker, Rob, going to my first 49er game, November 13th versus the Chargers. Are you going to that game too? Caretaker, that is the only game I am debating attending at Levi's Stadium in the regular season. There is a reasonable probability that I decide I need to go see Justin Herbert in person. It will depend upon how the Chargers are performing, what the schedule is looking like. But yes, that is a distinct possibility. Papa Phil says, Rob, we should be 4-0. Do you agree? Yes and no. I'm not a fan of rewriting history. We earned 2-2. That's what we did. We shot ourselves in the foot. Both of our losses were our own fault. Now, you could take that, what I just said there, and the next logical step is, well, if it was our own fault that we lost, then yeah, we should be 4-0. But we couldn't get out of our own way. We were incapable of getting out of our own way. And that inability is what caused those losses. So we deserve those. We absolutely deserve those. Do I believe we will continue to shoot ourselves in the foot on a regular basis? I do not. However, I think it's a distinct possibility we will get a lemon game here or there. Ellis 10, this is the comment that I'm looking for. Ellis says, Rob Schuh, you are good luck. Your attendance at the Green Bay postseason game proves it. That game was wild. Thank you, Ellis 10. I have been at some magical finishes. I have been there. I was there at the Saints game in 2019 and in the playoffs in 2011 when Alex did his end around and then the Vernon post. I was there for the catch 2. I was there for Jerry Rice's catch 101, the record-setting catch. So many different games. The biggest comeback in playoff history against the Giants in 2000-something. I was there. I do think more often than not, I am a good luck charm for the 49ers, but I appreciate you saying that. Stud coming in. I mean, I was calling Ellis a stud as well because he is a stud. He's a sneakerhead and he's a stud. But stud comes in to say, Rob, after 4 games, did you have us at 2-2? I did. My prediction was 2-2. I didn't get the games right. I thought we'd beat Chicago. We lost to Chicago. I thought we'd lose to I thought we would lose to LA. We beat LA. So I had us winning the first two, dropping the second two. We dropped the first one, won the second one, dropped the third one, won the fourth one. We just decided to go either or, right? Switching it up a little bit. But I did have us sitting at 2-2. I then have us getting to 4-2 before settling at 4-4 at the bye. That was all made as a prediction before we changed reins to Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback. I will not be shocked if we're able to pull out 3 of the next 4 games. I'll tell you what, though, I also won't be shocked if we're 2-2 in these next 4 games. I won't be shocked if we're sitting at 4-4 in the bye. And I still think we can get to 11 wins, even at 4-4. Great one, 765 comes in. Rob Schuh, the offense has to average over 25 points these next 2 games. They need to start rolling. Can't count on the defense for everything. I do agree that the offense has to carry its own weight. 25 points is a little high for such a good defense, but I get what you're saying here is you can't count on the defense to continue where they're at. They're on a historic pace, and you just assume that they will get back to the mean, right? That it will average out over the season. But I'm telling you, I view this unit as one of those historic defenses. I will not be surprised if at the end of this season, we do rank top 3 in a lot of categories. This defense is special. But I agree, offense has to carry their weight. Andre Moore, sneakerhead here on the channel, says, Rob, Talanoa Hufanga. What more needs to be said? Niners struck gold. Yes, they did. Huff is a dog. I mean, come on. I love when a player is running at full speed, doesn't catch a football cleanly. You'll see this from Tyreek Hill. The man is so fast that it doesn't take him huge concentration to run at a sprinting speed. And he's able to, while his feet are moving at just lightning freaking speed, he's able to bobble a football and calmly catch it. Like not freak out and knock it away, but bobble it a little bit, catch it, while still running at breakneck speed. I saw the same thing from Talanoa Hufanga. Now, obviously, his breakneck speed is significantly slower than Tyreek Hill, but he's going at full bore, doesn't catch it cleanly, and still has the concentration and the wherewithal to bobble it and catch it. What an amazing play. Stottle Cerebrum says, Rob, where did you buy your coffee cup from? I have gotten several of these. I have some to give away. The channel will definitely have some giveaways this season. I believe the original one came from NFL Shop. You can look on eBay. There are various makers of the cups out there, but you can get something very similar to this on eBay. I don't know why I'm doing an eBay promo. eBay should be paying my bills right now. GH712, Rob, yo, I'm moving to Bend soon. Oregon Niner gang, represent in Oregon. Let's go. Darren Worthington, Rob, are you concerned about Ray McCloud fumbling? He's had issues before, and it happened on Monday. Thank God we recovered it. Darren, you are reading my mind, my friend, because I have this topic coming up in a little bit. Am I nervous about it? Yes. I teased it earlier when I said I had one concern on special teams. Here's the spoiler, because Darren, you hit the nail on the head. It's Ray McCloud. And it's not a big one, but it is. My heart is in my throat when he is catching that ball. I'm just not at a place of comfort yet with Ray. And when the games get tight and we get into the playoffs, those kind of momentum changers can be absolute killers. So I hope he is aware of the issue. I hope that Brian Schneider is working with him on it. And I hope that we work to minimize those opportunities for him to have that kind of a fumble in a clutch moment. The caretaker, Rob, is a fellow Oregonian and Duck fan as well. As a 49er fan, I'm stoked to see Herbert too. Yes, Herbert is the real deal. Got to give credit where credit is due. People said that he couldn't be a leader within the NFL. They were wrong about that talent evaluation. Let me tell you, when you can ball out like Herbert can, people will follow you, regardless of your leadership style. Dr. Jasprit, Rob, pleased with the improvements Lenore has shown in the last few games. Yeah, once Jimmy Ward is back, which 2 safeties do you want back there? To me, it's a no-brainer. Talanoa Hufanga is going nowhere, and Jimmy Ward gets his spot back. Tayshaun Gibson has played well. I do not think he's played up to the level of what I expect from Jimmy Ward. I believe we get better when Jimmy Ward returns. Truth told, not sold. Rob, I'm from Pittsburgh. We didn't like McLeod then when he fumbled. I said that damn ex-Steeler. Yeah, I'm telling you, it makes me a little nervous. Keldon, Rob, Kittle will get back into the game sooner than later. We haven't seen the potential of the offense yet this season. Kittle almost had that catch. The toe tap was so close. In real time, I thought it was a touchdown. I called it out in the text stream with my dad. It's like, yeah, touchdown Kittle. I was looking for either a run up the middle or play action to Kittle. Literally called that out before the play. It was play action to Kittle. I was thrilled. Kittle didn't get in. Great one, 765. Rob Schuh, I need to apologize to my cuz. He was raving about Hufanga before the season started, and I thought he would be a liability in coverage. Boy, was I wrong. Sorry, Cholo. Yeah, great one, 765. Good apology. I had to eat a little bit of crow as well. I didn't think he was going to be bad, but I thought, well, this is foolish to just assume he's going to come in and snag that role. They need to have competition at the position. You can't just assume he's going to make the leap from year one to year two. Yeah, you can. I guess you can. If you know how talented the dude is, if you've seen him in practice all year last season, if you've seen him in games the way that the 49ers coaching staff had, they were ready to roll with Talanoa, and they were right. Let's see Stephon James coming in. Rob, once Ferret and Ward are back, do you think we have the best nickel defense in the league? I'm not sure that the nickel defense changes other than Ward being in at safety, but that does improve it. I can't honestly say that I know the nickel defenses for every other team in the league. I would need to check out the top 3 or 4 other passing defenses out there at this moment. I'm not prepared to say it, but I will definitively say that this is a very special unit, one of the most talented I have ever seen. I know it's early to say that, but what I have seen so far says just that. I'm prepared to change that opinion if for some reason the wheels fall off. I don't believe that's going to happen. All right, we'll get back into your comments in just a bit. We've got to get to some of these other previously submitted questions. So we got to John B's first. This one comes in from Cashflow Chris. First of all, great frickin' Twitter handle. Cashflow Chris says, now that all the teams in the NFC West are 2-2, what is it going to take to win the division? When I look at these teams, they all are a little bit flawed, if we're going to be honest. The 49ers included, because that flaw exists on the offensive side of the ball. I'm going to guess that it only takes 11 or 12 wins to take this division. There are 13 games remaining. That means that a team would need to go 9-4 or 10-3 the rest of the way to hit 11 or 12 wins by the end of the season. I'm predicting the Niners to hit 11 wins, sticking with my original prediction. I didn't change it after the loss of Trey Lance because it changed the way in which I saw the season. I thought, well, we'll be better initially with Jimmy Garoppolo, but when we get towards the end of the season, he doesn't add the potential upside that I was banking on with Trey Lance. I thought Trey Lance would struggle a little bit in the beginning of the year, but as the season progressed, he would get better and better and better, and we would be a ferocious offense towards the end of the season. Because it's Jimmy, we already know what the ceiling is. Could he stretch it a little bit? Sure he could. But is he going to blow the top off of this thing? That seems doubtful. So we know what we have. We know our limitations. I still think we can hit that 11-win mark. We are sitting at 2-2, as I projected that we would. It seriously feels like that would be good enough. 11, 12 wins. Our 11 might be good enough, especially if we go 4-6 or 5-1 in the division after starting out 2-0 against Seattle and Los Angeles. If we're able to beat up on our division opponents, makes it that much more likely that 11 wins and a tiebreaker is maybe first place in the NFC West, maybe outright first place. LA, the Rams, to me, still feel like our stiffest competition within the division. Count me out on believing that Geno Smith can keep up his pace for the entirety of the year. Count me out on the Cardinals being consistent for an entire season because I just don't believe it until I see it at this point. All right, coming back in with another one, this time from Chris R. Chris R says, what's your prediction for the Niners record in the regular season? I think it will be 11 wins. This is just a follow-up to what I said a moment ago. I'm sticking to the original prediction, feeling good about it. I absolutely I think we have a chance to go 3-1 over the next 4 games. I had originally put us at 4-4 at the bye. If we were able to go 3-1, we will be ahead of what I predicted. We could be 5-3 at the bye week. That would give us a better chance of making it to 11. Because admittedly, I predicted a pretty significant run to end the season after starting 4-4. And that was thinking that Trey would start to catch on and the offense could start winning us some games. Not to say that Jimmy Garoppolo and this offense can't win us some games, but I don't believe they are going to catch fire the way I was optimistic Trey Lance could at the end of the season. So now we have to brace ourselves for the occasional bad game from Jimmy. That's a pretty regular thing. It's irregular, but regular at the same time. And that might cost us one that we should otherwise win. And that might prevent us from having that long streak at the end of this season that I had said we would, with Trey making his progression. All right, the next one's about Jordan Mason. But before I get to that, I'm getting back into your live comments here in the chat. Absolutely appreciate all of you and the enthusiasm that you have coming into the chat here. Much appreciated. All right, got a couple of super chats that I am getting to at the moment. All right. Let's see. The first one comes in from Jimmy J, not Jimmy G. We've clarified that before. Jimmy J, sneakerhead here on the channel, says, Rob, Jimmy had Brandon Ayuk wide open after he made Ramsey look foolish on the Kittle almost score. What's the over-under on how many games he'll cost us by missing wide open touchdowns? By the way, what section are you in for Vegas? Number one, don't have my ticket yet for Vegas. I have my hotel room booked because I know that hotel rooms in Vegas New Year's Eve are going to be just ridiculous. So I locked in one of the MGM properties, but I will still wait until the end of the season. And maybe I should have pulled the trigger when the Raiders were sitting at 0-3. That might have been the time to buy a ticket. I would guess that they were still holding on to higher prices. I tend to wait until closer to the last minute. In answer to your other question, I want to first say that no quarterback is perfect. I'm not saying that to excuse Jimmy Garoppolo, not at all. But we have to start from the mark of not even a Tom Brady or an Aaron Rodgers hits every open man every single time. And if you go back through the all 22, every game you review, you will see someone running open. Sometimes it's on a play where Jimmy hit somebody else. And so you could say, well, he missed the better play here, but he hit a man. And so that's not really a miss. I certainly saw some against LA where you say, hey, we left some points on the board. And I would say, although every quarterback is capable of leaving points on the board, every quarterback, no matter how good, misses some throws here and there, that Jimmy is not an all-star quarterback. He is a more mid-level quarterback, so he misses more of those throws. If we're talking about how many games we will actually lose, I'm putting Denver on Jimmy. I mean, he and Kyle are sharing the blame on that one, but literally Jimmy stepping out of the end zone cost us 2 points. We lost by 1. So it's easy to put an L next to Jimmy, or at least give him the lion's share of the blame for that one. I would not expect to see another floundering game like we saw against Denver. That was an outlier in my mind. Will we see something close to that? Will Jimmy throw a pick six at the wrong time, or an interception on a drive where we need to lock this game down? Yeah, I think he will. You're probably looking at him adding another 2 losses, maybe 3 to the loss column. But they won't be directly attributable to Jimmy Garoppolo. They'll just be bad Jimmy games, but we know those happen. Maybe 00 comes in with the super chat saying, you think maybe this D had just a tad to do with Trey being inconsistent in camp? Sheesh, folks, really overreacted. I think that's a very fair statement in saying, oh, maybe it was tough to go against this defense every single day. Maybe that's why he struggled. I also believe that he was struggling a little bit in the regular season, but to me, that was absolutely expected, because you're really you're looking at a situation where Trey just had limited experience and he was going to have some bumps and bruises. Every rookie quarterback does, right? Go back, look at Peyton Manning's first season, look at Andrew Luck's first season. They all struggle initially. They show moments of greatness. And had we a full season from Trey, I have no doubt we'd have had a lot of moments of greatness, a lot of moments where you said, damn, I see the future and the future is bright. We just didn't get a large enough sample size of it. So, yes, I do think it's fair to say Trey was going against an elite defense in the preseason. And I also believe that Trey would be critical of his own play in certain circumstances and say to himself, he needs to improve it. Spy Nick Danger, thank you for putting in the hit the like button. We want to ratchet this thing up, ladies and gentlemen. Lee Ving comes in with a quick question. Luxor? No, I think I'm either at Aria or Vidara for that one. I like those two properties. Those are nice. I used to go to Vegas a lot. Man, for business, used to travel all the time, get to put the company rooms on my credit card. I was freaking platinum status at MGM for like 4 or 5 years running. Didn't gamble much at all, but they treated me like a Greek god. They do not anymore. They're like, I'm sorry, Mr. Who? Mr. Schuh? No, we don't have a room available for you. But I will be at one of the better locations because I booked early. Sean 951, bang, bang, Niner gang. Yes, it feels that much better to say bang, bang, Niner gang after a win. Yes, it does. All right, I'm rolling back a little bit because there were some comments that I missed, but I wanted to get to. Dr. Jaspreet, Rob, pleased with the improvements Lenore has shown in the last few games. Yeah, once Jimmy Ward is back, which two safeties you want back out there? We got to that one. Hold up. Let me roll forward. This was the one. Lester San Jose, sneakerhead here on the channel. Rob Schuh, who do you think can end up the fourth receiver? Malik or Ray? Feels very intent on getting Ray in there. Malik has now been promoted twice, I believe. At some point, they're going to have to make the decision to either promote him to the 53-man roster for the entirety, or they're going to run out of promotions they can make from the practice squad. My belief in Malik is they're promoting him for his special teams value. Ray, obviously, as a returner, has special teams value as well, but has been used as that fourth wide receiver significantly more. For me, it was more of a question of could Danny Gray unseat Ray McCloud, but that was when Trey Lance was the quarterback. Let's be honest, that Danny Gray will be used less frequently with Jimmy Garoppolo. I stand by my statement, though, that he's fast enough. You can't overthrow the dude. Just chuck it up. See if he can't get underneath it. So it was originally for me, was it going to be Danny Gray as the fourth wide receiver? Is it going to be Ray? I think you have to land on Ray now. Joey Huff, Rob, McKivitz is now out for 2 months. Kind of worried about this O-line for the second half of the season. We should have Trent Williams back before the bye week. I mean, we have not put him on IR unless that has happened while I've been, head in the clouds sick. And so that basically is saying we want him available in case he's ready to come back before 4 games, because it would have been a minimum 4 games if he went on to IR. They chose not to. That's optimistic for me. The caretaker, Rob, that Kittle touchdown would have beat me in fantasy, but instead I pulled out a win. Oh, the turmoil. Yeah, it cost me for sure, because then we had the Robbie Gold miss. Ryan Sapp, Rob, excited for this week's game. It's a chance for us to not play down to the Panthers level, which we rarely do. I'd love for us to just run away with a game. It's been too long. How about wasn't it the Panthers in 2019 that we ran away with? Let's do that again. Prince KO Sneakerhead here on the channel. Rob Schuh, Niners use tons of extra blockers for pass protection to great effect. What could be the next new wrinkle? Offense still needs some work. Even though it's a switch from Trey to Jimmy, you have to push the ball down the field. We cannot give that up. You've seen what defenses do to us when we do not push the ball down the field. They stack the box, and unless we're playing the Rams, they tend to do a better job of not allowing us to get those short, quick passes out. Jimmy Garoppolo, again, right around the 2.5 second from drop back to pass last night. He does that to the Rams. The only time he was off on that was the NFC Championship game, and it cost us. Lester San Jose, Rob Schuh, thinking about other commentators mentioning instinctual players. It seems like the front office can find guys with a mix of talents and coachable talents. We do. Talanoa Hufanga, great signing in Hassan Ridgeway. It appears a good signing in Ray McCloud. The special teams additions, huge. George Odom, Oren Burks, both shoring up that frickin' special teams unit on the coverage units in particular. Hitting on Elijah Mitchell, scoring on a Jordan Mason, even though we're not seeing him yet. This front office has done a really good job on hitting on some freaking gems. Truth told, not sold. Rob, 2021, 3-5 versus the Rams, 31-10 to the NFC Championship game. 2022, 1-2 versus the Rams, 24-9 to the Super Bowl. Let's go. Truth told, not sold, making the bold prediction. I'm here for it. To the Super Bowl. Yes, to the Super Bowl we go. Darren Worthington, Rob, do you think we should trade all of our draft picks for everybody else's fifth-round picks? Kidding, of course, but damn, we find gems there. We do. The fifth round, George Kittle, Talanoa Hufanga. Man, let me tell you. Spy Nick Danger. Rob, the Ravens won a Super Bowl with elite defense and Trent Dilfer at QB. We insulted him worse there with Trent Diller at QB. Our defense is elite. Can Jimmy G pull a Trent Diller? I mean, maybe it says Dilfer. Maybe it's an autocorrect. But yes, we can pull a Trent Diller. Jimmy can be Trent Diller. He's capable of being a Trent Dilfer. And I honestly believe in this team. Call me foolish, but I honestly believe this team is going to go somewhere this year. Could be the special one. Michael B. Jimmy gets his pass off in under 2.4 seconds, hits the first open receiver. That's the way to beat the Rams. It has been the recipe for success in the regular season against them. Devin Euros, one of our sneakerheads here on the channel. Rob, the Chiefs will be our defense's real test. The offense needs to be firing on all cylinders so our D isn't on the field the whole game. This is a great point. The Niners lost the battle of time of possession against the Rams, 35-25. I mean, a 10-minute difference in time of possession. We were lucky that the defense wasn't gassed at the end of this one. And let's remember, after the Robbie Gould miss, we were up by 8, a single score. Had they been gassed there, we'd have been talking about this game like we were the other ones we coughed up. It's important to get the run game going to control that time of possession. JMac49, sneakerhead here on the channel. Rob, hey, Rob, great win and love that you came on last night. Felt like a playoff game. It did, and I didn't care that I was feeling under the weather. I needed to celebrate that win. It was a short celebration. If you didn't see it, I was genuinely happy. Go back and watch that one. Jason Lewis, Rob, do you think we ever get solid production out of Kinlaw, or will he end up being a miss of a first-round pick? It's very concerning that he missed last night's game because of soreness to his knee. This was the offseason wherein the procedure was supposed to clean it up in its entirety. It is most likely some type of a degenerative condition, and the fact that a surgery did not grant him a full season of play leads me to believe that it's going to be a recurring issue for him, and that's very unfortunate, but I will concede that that's more likely the outcome. And if he's missing a couple of games every single year, then he probably will not warrant his draft status. Not his fault. Injuries are tough to overcome. Certainly falls more on the front office for not getting their due diligence done on the injury history. Not saying that it was something you could have necessarily uncovered, but it is a shame. If he makes it the remainder of the way healthy, I will change my tune. But as of right now, I've got to be honest, and I've got to say it's concerning for me to see him missing a game, the fourth game of the season, again, after that cleanup procedure that was supposed to be the end-all, be-all for the knee. Bro Montana, sneakerhead here on the channel, coming in with the super chat. What's up, fellas? Niners! Keep up the great work, Rob. Hufanga is a beast. That's the hashtag we got to get going on Twitter. Why isn't that trending on Twitter? Everyone here should be making Hufanga is a beast trend on Twitter. Some of the people on here are like, I don't go on Twitter because that's a negative space. I don't blame you. Cameron Blake says, Rob, I see this defense carrying us far. Verrett and Ward clear for practice. Did you get a chance to try Highland Tavern in Denver? Cheers, brother. I did not try. The Denver trip flew by. I did have some amazing food. The night after the game, got out so late that really nothing was open downtown. That's where my hotel was, about 1.5 miles from the stadium. Got back to the stadium, went to STK Steakhouse, only place open, half a block from my hotel, fortunately. Was eating at the bar there. Lovely bartender, making me feel quite welcome. If you're ever in Denver, I highly recommend going to hang out at STK. And as I was eating my lovely steak, enjoying my non-alcoholic beverages, Russell Wilson and Sierra showed up with some other Denver teammates to take over the private room at STK. Went outside to leave and took some photos of the ridiculous Rolls Royce that still has Washington plates on it. I assume is Russell and Sierra's ride. It was the 4-door SUV Rolls Royce and a couple of high-end custom Mercedes, one SUV and one coupe in front of that, I'm guessing belonging to Sierra or one of the teammates. Some epic rides for those of my gearhead friends that are watching the channel. You know I like to talk about cars. Russ is not hurting for money, it would appear. The Rolls was looking good. Looking good. Stephon James coming in. Rob, after next week's game, will we get Bosa's creepy Baker? That I can't do it because I can't recall. It is creepy because Bosa has sort of this like whispering, soft voice, but he's this ripped dude. I think we'll get some trash talk. I think we're headed for a little bit of Bosa / Baker trash. Whoever makes a play is going to be talking. Sean 951 Niners sneakerhead here on the channel says, Rob, we need to roll the Panthers and the Falcons and get the offense rolling and everyone involved. Come back and play Kansas City and revenge the Super Bowl. I love that all, Sean. We got to take the word revenge out of it. Somehow this team just doesn't do well with revenge. We need to punish KC, but no revenge. No revenge. We've long since forgotten the 2019 season. I know you and I have had jokes about the revenge tour lingo. We got to get that out of there. We're just going to destroy them. That's what we're going to do. But I agree. Can't overlook anyone. Have to handle Carolina this week. That's the task ahead of us. Handle Carolina. We've got the newest member of the channel. Jason Lewis is our latest sneakerhead. Jason, welcome to the program. Welcome to being a sneakerhead. Absolutely love additional members of the channel. Love the support. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. J-Mac saying, Rob, you making the trip to SoFi October 30th? It is not on the calendar right now. I checked off SoFi at the NFC Championship game. I am going to go back to all the stadiums where the game I attended was a 49ers loss. I'm intent on hitting all the stadiums in the NFL for a Niners win, but first I got to get through all the stadiums first. Stivers 209 show pointing out, yeah, Rob posted on YouTube Ciara and Russell's cars. I did. I posted that picture. I think I did it on Twitter as well. And Darren, yeah, we're talking cars again. It's going to be a regular occurrence. Toothbrush coming in. Rob, what a difference a week makes. Now Shanahan is on top and McDaniel under a lot of heat. Yeah. Oh, Mike McDaniel and the Tua situation. That is just rough. Just rough. Leaving Rob Schuh. Russ even looks 6 feet tall in real life. It was through glass. They don't let commoners like me get close to Russell Wilson. So I had to observe the entire team through these glass doors to the room. But yeah, he did, in reference to everyone else that was there, man looks small. Abraham Munez says, Rob, non-Niner related, but did you hear about Tom Brady and his wife both hiring divorce lawyers? I did not. Poor Tom. Quesadilla Thrilla 71 sneakerhead here on the channel. Rob, do you foresee the Niners trading for an O-line piece or wide receiver? I don't at this juncture. I will not be surprised if the Niners are in contention and a guy like Odell Beckham Jr., when he decides to sign somewhere, gives the Niners a visit, because I do believe they will be in contention for making a push into the playoffs. Offensive line, my guess is that with Jalen Moore and Daniel Brunskill as alternates to try at left tackle, unless we see an additional injury, I think they're pretty set at the top end of the roster. I agree with leaving here. The Rolls SUV is just decadent. I'm not a big like 4-door SUV, especially the like low in the front and back, but then the bubble in the middle. But I gotta say, when it's a Rolls, hard to fault it. I just wish I could get into the interior of that and see how cushy it is inside there. Gizmo Maltese says, Kyle, ever explain why Kittle getting few targets? Our offense won't be good if we don't get Kittle more involved. Also, what happened to our sweeps? I think what happened to Kittle, at least after the injury to McKivitz, is he was held into block a lot. And we should expect that he probably will be held into block a lot. It's unfortunate. We've seen seasons where even when Kittle's blocking isn't super high and he does run a lot of routes, in recent years, we just have not been able to get him the same number of targets. I predicted 1,000-yard receiving season for George Kittle. That is one of the predictions I would guess I'm going to have to eat at the end of this one. Still could turn it on. All you need is a couple 100-yard games, and that turns your average around. But from what we're seeing right now, it should be a focus for the offense. They need to actively get Kittle involved, and it doesn't appear that they are doing that just yet. All right, I've got some more of the previously submitted questions, and then we'll have time for a couple more coming in from you live in the chat. Definitely losing my voice a little bit. I can feel it. And it ain't good. Let's go to the previously submitted questions. We touched on this earlier. Raphael comes in to say, will we see some carries for Jordan Mason this weekend? I sure freaking hope so, Raphael. Let's say this. It sets up to be a game that the Niners should be able to get Jordan Mason involved in. The Niners are, I think, 5.5-point favorites against Carolina. Correct me if I'm wrong about that. I'm not overlooking anyone here, but we should win this game. That is the expectation of Vegas. That is the expectation of the experts. That is my hope as well. It sets up the type of matchup that if all goes according to plan, we should beat them up. It should be a shellacking. That'd be a perfect time to get Mason going. Share the workload on the East Coast trip so that when we get back home, we have some fresh legs for Jeff Wilson Jr. against Kansas City at Levi's Stadium. I'm going to be surprised if Mason doesn't get 5 or more touches in this one. I'm going to make my prediction as 7 carries for Jordan Mason, 21 for Jeff Wilson Jr. I think we break 30 carries against Carolina. Can we get to 35? Chris R. coming in here. I give an A+ for last night's game on both defense and offense. Thoughts? Chris, I'm with you for defense. Completely with you for defense. But the offense, it was inconsistent at times and almost felt like they were going to let the Rams stick around in this one. If it were not for the Hufanga pick 6, this game would have been a nail-biter at the end when Robbie Gould missed that field goal. If the defense hadn't been amazing all game long, I'm not sure the offense is bailing us out here. It was a super clean game. I will give that to them. So that bodes well. No sacks, no turnovers. But if not for the huge play by Debo, one man's effort to score on it and the long touchdown run by Jeff Wilson Jr., then it wasn't a very efficient day by the offense, particularly not in getting into the end zone. They were 5 of 12 on third downs. They were 0 for 1 on fourth down. We were not able to put the game away, but we did win it and we did put up some points. I'm going to give a super solid B+ for the offense on that one. Again, I am agreeing with you on the A+ effort by the defense. No more to be said there. B+ by the offense. And I'm going B- for special teams here. It was mostly great. Mitch is killing it, and so are the coverage teams. But Robbie Gould cost me the fantasy win by missing that 42-yarder. That's a big one, so I'm taking off some points. And if not for Hufanga, that miss may have let the Rams back into it. And I'm also going to repeat my fears with Ray McLeod when he is fielding those punts. He did fumble it. We got it back. But the missed field goal and that fumbled punt return could have been miscues that cost us the game. So I'm going B- there because that leads me to believe that this special teams needs to stay focused at all times. A small slip up here, when you're playing close defensive matchups, a small slip up can be the difference between a win and a loss. The last one coming in is expanding the thought on special teams. Raphael says, overall thoughts on special teams this season. Overall, special teams is vastly improved. We went from the dregs of the league to performing well in the playoffs, to building a special teams to be proud of in the offseason, to showing why we invested as much as we did into those special teams. What are the distinct positives? Mitch Wishnowsky earning that extension. The man is killing it with punt placement. It's really something to watch. I still believe in Robbie Gould, even after that miss last night, especially clutch game-winning field goals. Nobody I'd rather have back there. He's still money. And the coverage units have been really good, covering punts successfully, laying big hits, and even stopping opposing teams inside the 25 on kickoffs on occasion. We were unable to do that, I feel like, at all last season. It was almost a given that teams were starting beyond the 25. That average starting field position crippled us. This year, that can be a distinct advantage. A defense like the one that we have, that we're putting out there on the field with bad starting field position for the opposing offense, that could lead to some defensive points. That could lead to some safeties. That can lead to great field position for our offense when we force them into 3 and outs to start the game. All right, we are going to close this one talking about your comments as we always do. Looking to find those last comments that we're going to bring in here. Lorenzo Gonzalez says, Rob, you know I can't let you get out of here without those signed Verettes. LOL. We should talk to Debo about getting those DBOs. LOL. Hey, you know we got the crispy, clean SF on these dope-ass Jason Verrett cleats. We got to get these signed by Jason Verrett. We are making the attempt. We have reached out to Jason Verrett's team. We've yet to hear back, but the studio has put word out. We are offering a sweetener. We are offering a sweetener to bring him on. We'll see. The ball is in his court. I'm going to continue to harass and try and bring him on. JMac49, Rob, how about the crazy streaker that got shellacked by Wagner? Hilarious. That was phenomenal. I love the fact that the NFL just allows players to destroy fans when they come on the field. It's like, hey, you chose to come out here. You thought it was a good idea to run around on a field with a bunch of players who have pads on and are willing to hit you. And, you make bad choices and you get bad outcomes. That's the reality of it. Darren with the question about a car, forewarned, it's a car question. He says, Rob, what do you think about a 65 Chevelle SS 327 all original 4-speed? That's a glorious cruiser right there. Just something that you could enjoy going down PCH, windows down, not too much road noise, not too much engine noise, just cruising, enough horsepower to get up and go. I mean, it's a heavier car, no doubt about it. I would rather have a big block in a Chevelle. I'm tending towards a 396, a 454 if I'm in the Chevrolet family, but I don't believe that was available in the 65. So that 327, the key here for me is the original frickin' 4-speed. Used to have a 4-speed in the GTO, close ratio Muncie 4-speed. Oh my goodness, it was fun to row through the gears in that thing. Alonzo Harris coming in with the super sticker. Alonzo, much appreciated. Then comes in to say, hey, we need to trade for Michael Thomas. That is not a bad idea at all. He is drowning on that team. It's a big contract, though. That's the piece. It's a big contract, and we got Brandon Ayuk coming up, acting like a star, probably about to get his own payday. I like the idea. I like the creativity. Not sure we'd be able to swing that one. Papa Phil, he's nervous too. Rob, Ray is giving me Kyle Williams vibes. Yeah. I'm not that hard on Ray, but it is my heart is in my throat each time. My heart is in my throat. J-Max says, I give the streaker a C. He got across the field, but streakers are supposed to be naked. It's true. I saw the video, not naked. I was personally glad for that, but I agree. It violates the terms of the streaker agreement. Devin Euros coming in, Rob, the reason you can't get Kittle involved is because he gets hurt too much. There's a reason people call him Brittle Kittle. Needs to learn to protect himself. I understand what you mean there, Devin. I do tend to disagree. I think it's his physical play style that gets him hurt. I don't think his injury history is significantly more than the average within the NFL. On average, players miss 2-point-something games per season. Obviously, that's skewed by the players who miss the entirety of the season, right? Get injured week 1 and then miss the entirety. But Kittle is pretty close to that average. I agree. The injury thing is something to keep an eye on, especially when it comes to the next contract. All right, we got a super chat. Scott Hill coming in. Scott, thank you for that. Hey, Rob, do you know we saw a star in the making in Huff yesterday? We did see a star in the making. I think it's time to crown the dude as having arrived. Like, does he need to keep this up for the rest of the season to earn himself a Pro Bowl berth, an All-Pro berth? Yes, absolutely. My guess is, unless he plays the way he has the first 4 weeks, which is on fire, that he's not able to get himself the All-Pro nod. But the Pro Bowl nod very much seems within grasp at this point. Hufanga is getting recognized by the announcers, right? When you hear Troy Aikman calling it out, that's when you start to get on a nationally televised game. That's where you start to get noticed. That's where everybody's like, oh, you mean he is as good as he was at USC? You mean he got passed over in the draft? He wasn't someone that should have been drafted in the 5th round. He was a draft steal. When you start to hear that language, I do think that shows that he's starting to get the recognition. And that is the recognition that he needs. That's the recognition he needs to get the accolades. And he deserves it, because if this is going to be one of those historic defenses, how cool would it be for a young star to get recognition on one of those historic defenses? Something that we're looking at 10, 20 years from now saying, yeah, you remember that 2022 Niners D? Man, you remember the emergence of Talanoa Hufanga? Telling you, keep your eye on that man. All right, we are closing on that because that was a great way to wrap it. Thank you, Scott Hill, for the super chat. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Just over an hour. My voice is starting to give. I can feel it. It still sounds reasonably strong, but I'm getting that raspiness in here. Do me the favor and punch that like button before you head out. If you enjoy the content, please do like the videos when you come in. It does me a great deal of good in promoting the video and getting more and more subscribers to the channel and more eyes on these videos, which is my ultimate goal. I want to be able to converse and talk to more and more Niner faithful, build a positive following of this team where we can all come together and give accurate and positive takes on what this team is doing and has done. Because let's all be honest, we'd like football to add positivity to our lives, to add value to our lives, not be a detractor. There are some seasons where it's obviously going to be a detraction, but it doesn't feel like that's going to be this year. This year feels very hopeful to me. I'm optimistic about where this team can be headed, and I'm excited to be on that train. I will be back tomorrow night with Randon on the episode of Between Two Beards. Look for that at 5 p.m. tomorrow. Until then, I'm going to go have some hot tea with a little bit of lemon and honey, and this cold medicine's going to wear off soon, and then I am going to crash for the night. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Look at that, man. I ain't going without celebrating Scott Hill as the newest member of the channel. Cheers to Scott Hill. Kevin coming in with the cheers, guys. That cheers is directed at Scott Hill, the newest member. Cheers to you. Welcome to the land of Niners positivity and kindness to one another, as evidenced by Fable JVC. Feel better, bro. I appreciate it. Absolutely appreciate it. I'm going to get this freaking voice on ice. Papa Phil, I'm going to see if I've got any ginger root. I know I have some ginger tea in there somewhere. I'm getting to it. Fable, appreciate the cheers. Jonathan, appreciate the cheers. Hope you all have a wonderful night. I will see you tomorrow at 5 p.m. Cheers, faithful.